something a bit fun, as usual, with my little quirky personality. I am in the back of the ute, however I am on my own, as you can see. The end of January 2017, I ended up in hospital with a breakdown. Previous to that, as you probably already know, I had an autoimmune disease. This year marks 5 years since then, and that's why I thought that I'd have a little bit of a conversation with you. And I'm a bit nutty, I do talk to myself a lot, so welcome to the back of the ute. I just want to sort of explain a little bit of my plans with YouTube, a new series on YouTube, and that's going to be transitioning from a degraded riding school to a primary production place. I have started, this was meant to happen in 2019, no, this was meant to happen at the end of 2020, however it started raining a week before I was meant to do any filming. Last year was a write-off because it just wouldn't stop raining, but as you can see, hopefully, I now have my 2 water tanks in the background. I have half of the arena sorted. So this was my small arena. So this is 800 square meters. And I planned and I drew up that it was going to be roughly 400 square meters. At the moment, I haven't got any irrigation set up, but it hasn't stopped raining. However, if I do start planting things, which I've already started, yes, and it stops raining, of course, I need to make sure that the irrigation is all set up. Behind me in this camera, you can see that I've got a smaller tank, and that's going to go into the paddocks and gravity feed. So I'll pump up from the dam to fill that one, and that will gravity feed anything that I plant in the paddock, which I have already planted, some banana and some citrus. It was a sort of a knolly bit of the paddock, and it was really quite degraded. Sort of ants and weeds liked living there, and that was it. The series is about empowering anybody who feels the urge and need to regenerate their land. Now, you can have an acre and do this. It's about not doing it my way. It's about enabling you to open up your mind so that you can see ways around doing things. And I have chosen to do this. I could have just done this and not videoed it, but I've chosen to do it because this is incredibly difficult land to do anything on. Access only happens in a vehicle when it's dry. The tractor, there are some inaccessible places. The stables are at 45 metres above sea level. The ridge at the back is 120 metres. So we have, when it rains, and it will rain, some nights it can rain between 600 and 800 mils in a night. So the amount of runoff we have off the ridge is astronomical. So there's always erosion. It doesn't matter what you do, it is eroding, because you cannot stop or slow down that amount of water when it's really running. All you can do is help to prevent huge amounts of erosion. The soil is clay and rock. Any holes you dig here is that compacted that you have to either get a post hole digger in or a crowbar. And we've dug, apart from the posts and rails around the arenas, we've actually dug everything by hand with a crowbar. What else? So it's compacted. It was a dairy farm. It was overgrazed and overstocked with horses for my riding school for 10 years. It's extremely hilly. There's huge amounts of runoff. So the gullies are runoff gullies. And then behind the stables here, there's a dam which is overgrown. Nature basically wants to fill it in, I think, to stabilise it. I've got 2 flat areas. This arena is going to stay the same, and this arena is being converted to a market garden. And I think you can see the 2 yellow boxes just there. They're my beehives, and they now have 2 colonies of bees, so I'm really happy about that. And I just want it to be fun. I want it to be, comment on it, ask questions. I'm not going to do it the right way. With regeneration, there is no right way. It's a way that you can deal with. So I've spent 5 years not only learning about regenerative farming across the board, whether it's mixed cropping, livestock, permaculture, actually growing food or growing commodity. I've spent 5 years learning it. Bees, pollination, understanding the difference between commercial and hobby beekeeping, understanding what I have in my environment around me. At the moment I got my bees, and I'm really excited because the wattles have all started flowering. So I mean, I need to get these supers on here and collecting honey, because even though they're fresh and they were a 5-frame nuke, I've expanded them to 9 frames, and if it is as good as it and the historians say it is with beekeeping in this valley, I will have those 4 frames filled in a week. When the honey's going, and the nectar is flowing and the pollen and things, and you've got a really good, strong colony of bees, production goes through the roof. So I've got to be prepared for that. And I am a newbie, and I will stuff things up. As the transitional series goes along, join me on it, because I am going to make mistakes, I know. And everything I'm doing, I have chosen because I've worked this land. We've been here over 15 years now. I know what it's like when it floods. I know what it's like when we have 4 successive seasons, summer seasons of no rain. That's when our grass grows. The past 2 summer seasons have been phenomenal, and thankfully, because it's really helped to recover and regenerate it. I have destocked. I've got 4 horses on the property. I did have 14, and that's on about 6 acres, and that includes the arenas. So I was overstocked, overgrazed, and degenerating like you've never seen it. It is a weed pit. I love my weeds. I've learnt to understand them. I work with them. Now I am going through these garden beds, and with succession, so 1 week, the next week, the next week, the next week. So once I get up to 12 weeks, of course, I will be able to harvest the first lot. I'm growing food for me, and if there's any left over, it will go to my neighbours, because of course I've never done this before. I have no idea the quantity of food to produce. I could ask somebody, but that's way too easy. It's not the Tamzin way. The Tamzin way likes to do it herself, so that I learn, because you can tell me till you're blue in the face, but unless I actually do it, unless there are other variables that I have to take in, it just will not stay in my brain. I have to experience it. I have to do it. That's the way I learn. And yeah, the beekeeping is going to pollinate the fruit trees and anything else that I'm growing that obviously flowers if I want to produce seed. And that's about all really, the chat in the back of the ute with me, myself and I. So please join me, because it's going to be fun. There's going to be moments of horror. But as long as I don't roll the tractor, I think we'll be all right. I'm not planning on rolling the tractor. So yeah, so celebrate 5 years of Tamzin's goal to actually being able to set up a primary productive area in a degraded landscape, and just have fun with it. And all comments, all questions are welcome, and I won't necessarily know the answer, but I will fumble through, and it's a journey, and that's all it is really, isn't it? One life, one love. We've got to keep our health happening. So thank you for listening. Next week will be back to normal in the back of the ute with some fantastic person, and look forward to seeing you there.